the CEO story.
From vision to brand, the CEO's story.
I come from a very large and a very proud Haitian family. My mom and my dad have been instrumental in where I am today, and I just thank them every day for that. They were born and raised in Haiti, and they came here many, many years ago with the American dream. My parents also were fortunate to bring others to this country. And what I can tell you about being Haitian and Haitian American is that we're proud and we're very resilient. And so I would say that resilience, the blood that runs through my soul from my ancestors lives today, and I try to carry that out in my parenting of my own children. But that is in large part, I think, what inspires me is my cultural background, my family background, and my upbringing. I never knew that I would be here, but one thing I did know is I really had a passion to help others. I remember a long time ago, I had an opportunity as a student nurse to work with a very ill patient, and she was dying. And one day I said to her, how are you feeling, And she told me, I'm dying and I'm depressed. So I asked her in that moment, had she ever sought treatment? And she shared with me, no, that I was the first person she had told that she was depressed. And that really sat with me. And it sat with me because I know that so many of us live in sadness. We live in anxiety, we may be worried, and we may not know that we can seek support from others, or we may be afraid to do so. I know I personally was raised in a culture that we weren't raised to talk to people about things that were happening in our home or traumatic things that happened in our past. So, I decided to make a difference, and that difference came in starting a practice that serves individuals who may have challenges with how they're feeling, how they're thinking, how they are responding to stress. And it started with a dream, and it grew over time from a solo practice to a private practice, and today a community mental health clinic. I happen to have the privilege of being part of many organizations. And when I think of leadership, I think that it's not just leading from the top, it's really leading from all angles, the ability to work with others, to inspire, to instill trust, and to continue to do this service, but to do it in a collaborative way. It's hard to be the only one. That's happened to me both in my undergraduate years and my graduate years, and certainly often in the profession. And so I would say when you are stepping into the shoes where you don't really have people around you that look like you, it's a tall order. But as I stated earlier, my parents, who've always been a huge inspiration for me, have always taught me to hold my head tall and to step into those shoes and know that the shoes that I wear will help others walk the journey and the path that I've been on. So I would say that that has been a challenge. It's also, I think, has been a strength to know that there are allies and there are individuals who can inspire and support you. And I hope that I can continue in my journey to be that. I always remember a young lady who was in my class, and she was also Haitian American. And one day I looked at her and I said, I don't hear from you enough. I'd like to hear your voice. And she looked up at me. And, I continued to encourage her throughout the year. I went on, she went on, and years later, I was walking through one of my children's school, and this woman came running up to me. She said, Dr. Abelard, and I looked. And she said, Dr. Abelard, it's me. And I had to think, because now she's this, woman. And she said, I'm a nurse now. And she said, I wanted to thank you, because back then, I had just come from Haiti. I didn't know a lot of people. I had an accent. I was afraid to speak. And you told me, I want to hear you. I want to hear your voice. And she told me since then, she's always spoken up. She saw me, an African-American Haitian woman, as a nurse, and she said, I can do it. And she did. So, I look to my past, and I also look to those who've mentored me to continue to help others. I have been quite blessed to receive multiple awards in my lifetime. It's hard for me to really pinpoint my favorite. One thing I will say, I was recently inducted into the American Association of Nurse Practitioners, and I was also named Top 100 Nurse Entrepreneur, I should say. Top 100 Entrepreneur. And both of those honors are quite a privilege. I was the only nurse practitioner from Massachusetts selected to be inducted as a fellow, and I'm a proud nurse practitioner. You know, as an advanced practice nurse, I founded Abelard Psychotherapy. We're one of the first nurse practitioner-owned businesses in Massachusetts, offering family systems therapy. So that's been an honor. And so for me to be honored by my peers and such a prestigious organization as the American Nurse Practitioner Association, that was huge for me. And also, you know, having business ownership is something that I have always been so proud of. And that was also very nice to be acknowledged in what oftentimes can be a male-dominant space, business ownership. It's been really a pleasure to own Abelard Psychotherapy and to have such an amazing team along my side. So today is recognition of mental health. It is a national kind of honor, celebration, and it is also the day that I celebrate our grand opening of Abelard Psychotherapy, Inc. It is very special to me because when we first launched my first office, I didn't really have a celebration as I was really learning the ropes and understanding how to manage my business. When I opened our second office, it was during COVID, so I didn't have an opportunity to celebrate. So now, years later, really going into my 19th year in business, we have the special opportunity to now be part of the Canton community. And I'm honored to just be in this space, to be able to offer behavioral health services here in Massachusetts. We serve thousands of patients in all counties of Massachusetts. We offer outpatient as well as in-home therapeutic services. We do that in 10 different dialects. We have nurse practitioner prescribers. We also have outpatient therapists, and we see clients throughout the lifespan. It is a privilege. It is my honor to be able to serve our community, not only here in our new home in Canton, but throughout Massachusetts. I would probably classify this as pearls of wisdom. And so what I would say to you is, it is extremely important, and I always say this. I say this to my students, I say this to my clinicians, I say this to my family and my friends, but primarily, please keep self in the care you give to others. I know it's an old adage when you hear the saying, put the oxygen on yourself before you try to save others, but that's reality, and it is just so important. We can't walk a path if we're unhealthy. We can't save others if we're unhealthy. And it's just super important to make sure you're taking care of yourself. The other really important pearl that I would share is just so important to find a mentor. I always say you don't know what you don't know. So it's essential that you seek others who maybe are doing the thing that you want to do. Maybe you don't even know what you want to do. Speak to as many of those folks that you can, so that you can learn, ask to shadow, ask to observe, and see what you think about that field, that specialty that you're interested in learning. And first, do no harm. If you want to come into healthcare, you really have to learn your craft, understand it, and do your best to serve. And that has been my biggest honor of my life, is to serve as a healthcare practitioner, to be an educator, and to work with my students, and also to lead and to mentor.
From vision to brand, the CEO story.
born.